Hi YouTube family, Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach, and today I want to talk about adult children of alcoholics and adult children from dysfunctional homes who have suffered wounds that most people who have not come from those types of homes will never understand. So the reason I really wanted to do this video today was because I watched a great show on A&E last night called, I'm sure you've heard of it, Intervention. And sitting there on my couch watching this show, I was getting irate. Watching this alcoholic mom down mouthwash in front of these three innocent, beautiful children made me want to jump out of my skin. The idea that there are children in this country, all over the world, 1 in 4 children today have an alcoholic parent at home, which is absolutely unacceptable. And the idea that this country is full of alcoholics that have no idea how their actions are affecting their children is just, it's absolutely insane. So watching this movie, if anyone hasn't seen Intervention, I say watch it. And the reason I say watch it is because we as adults who have been through those types of situations need to see it happen in real life, like on television or in a video, because you will connect to feelings and emotions that you may have forgotten as an adult. And so that is the problem. When we forget how we felt when we were little, that creates a pain pocket or a gap within us. Now, these children I'm watching on television, mom was drunk, down in mouthwash, and here she was, her hair's a mess, and she's all gross, and she's walking over to them, give mommy a hug, give me a hug. And the kids are like boards, like they don't even know how to react. They're freezing, they're frozen in time. They're looking at this woman like, I have to worry about how she feels. Mommy wants a hug, but I don't want her to hug me, and I'm mad at her, and why should I have to hug her? But dad's watching me, and the cameras are on me, and these poor innocent babies all stood there frozen as self-absorbed mom. And I know alcoholism is a disease, but I'm sorry, when it comes to children, it's unacceptable. And if there is a sober adult in the house and you're watching drunk mom go up to her children and say, give mommy a hug, dude, you're just as responsible. Like, no, the alcoholic does not have a right to pressure a child who is confused by the experience into giving them a hug so that they feel better. No, that can't happen. I was irate. I know the dad was a good guy, but I'm like, oh my God, the adults watching this crap happen in this home, I'm thinking, what's wrong with you knuckleheads? What are you doing? Like, no. So if that was me, and first of all, it wouldn't happen, because you're not going to be drunk around my kids. That's not going to happen. And you're not going to be drunk and ask my kid for a hug. I'll slap you first. Like, you are not doing that. So, but it's really, really important that we as adult children who have had similar experiences, I'm a life coach for adult children of alcoholics. I hear this stuff all the time. And I get really, really upset for my clients because they were so abused and nobody cared. Nobody cared. And it's craziness and no one's caring. And these poor kids are watching mom down mouthwash and dad's acting like, not that everything's okay, but there are absolutely no boundaries. And these kids are angry and everything's about mom and she's making a mess and there's chaos in the home. No boundaries. So when you are that child in this chaotic home, you're being taught that your feelings don't matter. So now as an adult, you're not checking in with your feelings because you don't know how to do that. So what do? You are out of focus because no one taught you how to look within. So you're out of focus. So what are you looking at? You're looking at society. You're looking at television. You're looking at, what the media says is beautiful. I mean, are you sick of Kim Kardashian yet? Really? Really? Is that reality TV? Really? I'm nervous for this society. I really am. But here we are as women, we're watching reality television, if you want to call that reality television, and we're being inundated with ideas of what beautiful is. That's one thing. Men are being inundated with ideas of what beautiful is. That's another issue. And then we're taught that money is the thing we should be looking for. So we go into these careers that we think are supposed to make us happy. And they don't. We're not happy. We become doctors and lawyers and nurses and chefs or whatever. Actually a chef's probably pretty happy. They're creating. But so many of us go into these careers that we think are going to make us happy, and they don't. Because it was a choice that was made based on what other people taught us was going to be good. So the other people could be mom, dad, could be society. So we do things based on what cognitively we think is going to make us happy. Because we're not tuning in. Because no one tuned into us. So we're grasping, we're living in the land of materialism. Eckhart Tolle talks about the illusion. We're living in the land of illusion. Christ says, be in the world, don't be of the world. There's a big difference. When you start living your own life based on how you feel, what's right for you, when you learn to tune into self, which is really hard to do because when you come from a dysfunctional home, nobody's paying attention to you. Everybody lives in denial. So, no one's going to admit that this is a crazy house. You say, Ma, I think this is crazy. Mom's going to say, you're over emotional. You're such a problem. You've always been a problem. Why are you always making a big deal out of anything? You see your sister making a problem? You see your brother, he's not unhappy. What's your problem? Shut up. So when you are honest in a family and you say, I think this is what I see, and you come from a dysfunctional family, they're talking you right out of that. They're going to make you doubt yourself. Now, the rules you learned about yourself, the way you learn to perceive yourself from 0 to 12, holy crap, that's your programming. At 12, you go into the world and you start working off that programming. But from 0 to 12, you're learning. Learning what? So, I remember when I'll tell you why I do what I do. Okay? I do what I do because I know what it feels like to come through the other side. I know what clinical depression feels like. I know what it feels like to be obsessed with food and exercise addicted and to hate myself because I had a cookie after my meal and to have to run on the treadmill for 3 hours to burn that cookie off and to go home exhausted and not sleep right and to have stomach cramps and have migraine headaches because I'm always trying to control what I ate. It was such an obsession, but it was a distraction. Distraction from what? All the anxiety I felt, anxiety from what? For not being happy, for not knowing how to tune into myself, for trying to make everybody happy, for trying to be a cookie cutter, to try to look like everybody else, to try to do the job that my father wanted me to do, to try to make money so I didn't have to bother anybody, to stuff my feelings and deal with people pushing me around so I can make myself small so I don't have to bother anybody. That's why I was depressed. I was avoiding pain. I wasn't seeking pleasure. ACOAs, children from dysfunctional homes, they don't seek pleasure. They avoid pain. And how do they do that? By being hypervigilant, by looking outside of self, by watching their bank account, by watching their weight, by watching everybody else, by looking for clues for what makes people happy, by trying to be what everyone else thinks they should be. That's what we do. That's how we avoid pain. We're not seeking pleasure. So what does that mean? That means our brains are not looking for pleasure, so we can't be happy. We can't be happy. How can you be happy if you're not looking to be happy? These days, my husband will tell you, when I'm outside, I'm outside. I'm looking at the birds. I'm listening to those birds. I'm looking at the sky. When I'm home and I'm cooking. I'm into thy food. When I'm taking a shower, I'm taking a shower. I'm feeling that water. I'm feeling that soap. I'm smelling that soap. I am in the now. So I do what I do because I know what it feels like to live in hell. I know what it feels like to be in hell. And now I truly believe that I've created the kingdom of heaven on earth. Because I found out that I am the way. I am the truth, and I am the light. I am the life. I can create my own life. And the only time that I was not happy was when I was turning away from my divine light. Now, we know why we turn away from our divine light. We turn away from our divine light because nobody tuned into us as children. The lights didn't go on. Mother and father are supposed to turn on the self in the child. I didn't have that because my parents weren't tuned on to their self. I don't blame them anymore, but I did for a long time. But I'm over that, okay? Because now I realize that if they didn't do what they did, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So I've moved into acceptance, but not before I embrace the anger, and not before I embrace the rage, and not before I embrace, son of a bitch, this is what happened to me. Like, you people made fun of me. You are my parents, and you belittled me. So I'll get back to an issue that I had when I was little that really, really stung, and it happened yesterday. So my mother is an unrecovered adult child of an alcoholic, so she carries all this pain. And a lot of other stuff happens to my mother that I don't feel like I have the right to talk about, but that I can because that's common knowledge. So anyway, my mother's carrying all this pain body stuff, right? So she has me, and I really feel like she had a very difficult time. At 19, she was a child when she had me. But I think she struggled giving me the love that she never got. That's what I believe. So I'm the oldest, whatever. That's just my reality. I grew up hearing my mother say, Lisa and I have a personality conflict. All I heard with my ears was, my mother don't like me. That's all I heard. When I was laying in bed at night, my mother was talking to neighbors on the stoop. You know, back in Queens, we called it a stoop, and she's puffing on her Marlboros. I would hear her say, I'm worried about Lisa. I think she's just going to be like my husband's sister, who's paranoid schizophrenic. Thank you very much. So I'm 7, I'm 8, I'm 9, I'm 10. I'm going to the library. I'm looking up paranoid schizophrenia. I know my aunt's a whack job. I mean, God bless her. I feel so sorry for her. But I'm hearing my mom compare me to her. So all I hear is wah, wah. My mother don't love me. When you're a child and you don't think your mother loves you, you think you're evil. You think there's something wrong with you. And the back of your head, what you hear the rest of your life is, I am not enough. And what you do is you try to chase after people's approval so that you can try to figure out a way to be good enough. Okay? And you're chasing your emotional tail the rest of your life. Because, dear one, you are enough. Your mother just messed up. Your mother messed up. My mother messed up. My mother made a lot of mistakes. This blanket of shame that she put on me wasn't mine. Okay? And it took me a lot of suffering to get to where I am. But I have to tell you, where I am now, dear one, I understand and I bless the suffering, because the more suffering that came, the higher I had to climb and the better the view. That's what I'm saying. So that's where I am now, but that's not where I was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was a mess, okay? And I made a lot of mistakes raising my kids up until my son was like 11 or 12 years old. So I'm much better now, and my third child has benefited from my awakening. That's great, but not without consequences. None of us escape. And so I was about 9 years old, I remember, and my mother and I had this very adversarial relationship, and it was just so sad because no matter what I did, I could not get her approval. And I tried, dear ones, I tried. One time I wrote, I'm a writer, obviously. I've written 4 books, working on my 5th. I wrote my mom a poem. And I remember being terrified, and I was shaking. There was nobody in the world that I wanted validation from more than my mom. She was God to me. And she loved everybody else but me. At least that was my experience. She loved my sister, she loved my brother, she loved our friends, she loved my dad, she loved our dog. But she didn't love me. And that killed me. And I remember writing her a poem, and I put it on her pillow, and I remember thinking, okay, I was like 9 years old. Okay, she's going to read the poem, and then everything's going to be good. She's going to see that I'm not bad. And maybe then I'll feel like in her fold, I'll feel in her flock, and I'll feel like I belong, and then everything's going to be better. All I wanted was to be loved. That's all I wanted. So anyway, hours go by. I know she's in her bedroom. I mean, you couldn't have missed the note, the letter, the poem. So a couple hours go by, and she's in the basement, and I creep down the stairs, and I say, Mom, did you read the note? I couldn't even look at her. She was in the basement with my dad. And, no, actually, she was in the living room. I was creeping down from our bedroom. And I said to her, Mom, did you read the poem? And she said, yeah, I read it. And I said, oh. And she said to me, I threw it away. I was crushed. And I thought, oh, okay. And in my head, the program was, she threw it away because you're bad. See, you're bad. You're no good. You're no good. I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this. And it was devastating. Still didn't want to give up. My mother never wore shoes and worked very hard in our house. I have to say that. Very hard working Irish woman. And would bleach our floors. Not kidding. She would bleach the walls. The house smelled like bleach. I remember that. To this day, I struggle with the smell of bleach. And her feet were always cracked. And I remember I was babysitting at the time. I would watch these kids down the block when their mom went to go play bingo. And if she won, she paid me very well. So anyway, I bought my mom a pair of sneakers. And she was outside in front of our house one day. And I ran up to her with this box. And I was so excited. And I thought, my mom's going to know how much I love her. And she's going to see that I'm not bad. She's going to get it. I'm good. I'm good. And I walk up to her, and her hair's in a kerchief with all the curlers, back in the day, back in the early 70s, that's the way the moms looked. And I presented her with this box, and I'm really excited, like mom's going to see that I'm good and I love her. And she opens the box, and she looks at me, and she says, "What do you think you can buy, my love, Lisa?" Crushed again. So my heart was like, my little girl heart just shriveled up. And as much as I was trying to love her, it just kept, she was fighting me. She was fighting me. She was pushing my love back, and I couldn't get to her. As hard as I tried to love her, it was like a force field. It was like a pane of glass between. Did I know that she basically was like an alcoholic in her head, like thought like an alcoholic, because both her parents, did I know that? Both my parents, my grandparents were alcoholics. My grandfather beat my grandmother. Her brother's in jail for drugs, and the other brother's an alcoholic, and gambler and loan sharks. I didn't understand. All I knew was that I couldn't get to my mother. I could not gain her acceptance. That's all I knew. So still don't give up. All around this age, still don't give up. So I get on my bike one day, and I've got this babysitting money, and I take it down to the stationery store, and I get to the stationery store, and I'm in the store, and I pick out this beautiful card for my mom. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to bring it to her, and I'm going to show her how much I love her, and I'm going to show her that I'm not bad. Anything to try to get rid of this stain, anything to feel seen by my mother. So I get to the counter, and I freeze. I'm thinking, I can't give this to her. She's going to accuse me of trying to manipulate her into loving me. I can't do this. And I turned around, and I went back, and I put the card back on the shelf. And I felt completely defeated. So what do? And this is probably where my food issues started. I bought a can of Pepsi, a bag of onion, garlic, potato chips, and a Charleston chew. A big-ass Charleston chew. And I remember the brown bag today, because back then they used to give you those small little brown bags, And I jumped on my bike, my 10-speed bike, and I took off down to the park. And I remember the exact moment in time where I had the thought, and this is what's so terrible, and this is why I do what I do, because I know that adult children from dysfunctional homes all have had this thought, or a thought similar to it. I was on my bike, and I remember the moment in time where I was thinking, you're bad. You're no good. Like, you can't do that nice thing. You can't buy your mom a card and bring it home. Nice kids do that. Kids that are lovable do that. You can't do that. And it was a feeling that made me feel like I was dead inside. I was just dead. I was just empty, freaking empty. And I remember going to the park and sitting down on the bench and looking out the water and crying and eating my potato chips and my Charleston chews. And every time somebody passed by, I sniffle, and I would just make believe I wasn't crying. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because I connect to that experience that I had, my 9-year-old self or my 10-year-old self. But I also connect to all adult children from dysfunctional homes who have had those experiences, and there was nobody there to validate them. So whether it was your mom's a drunk and she's passed out again and she's throwing up in the garbage pail and your house smells like puke and nobody cared, or whether or not your dad, is smacking you around or smacked you around and humiliated you as a kid and nobody cared, mom didn't say anything. Whether or not you were a child one of my best friends died at 37. Whether or not you're one of like her child, whether or not, not that this happened to her, but it does happen. Mom dies and no one says anything. I have had clients whose parents have died and family members acted like it didn't happen. That is so ridiculous, dear ones, and so organically wrong. Like, it's organic to feel. It's organic to cry. We're supposed to feel. We are supposed to express. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to be integrated, the triangle, mind, body, and soul. We're supposed to have an experience, an emotional experience. We're supposed to consciously validate that experience. And we're supposed to physically feel that experience and cry if we have to. We're supposed to be one in that experience. But when you come from a dysfunctional home, your experience has been invalidated. And that sets a pattern up here. Now, along with patterns are belief systems. And the beliefs are, I'm not good enough. We don't talk about our feelings. It's dangerous to talk about our feelings. My feelings don't matter. If I rock the boat, there's hell to pay. It's better to be quiet. My mom likes it when I'm little, so I'll shut up. I'll make myself small so I don't make mommy jealous of me. I'll do what daddy says, even though I know that I'm smarter than daddy. I can't act like I'm smarter than daddy because then he'll get jealous. I'll let my father beat me so he doesn't beat my brother and sister. It's okay to be beat up. It's okay to not talk about my feelings. Other people's feelings matter more than mine. My job is to be the caretaker. My job is to fix people. My job is to suffer. Suffer in silence. My feelings don't matter. So these are all the unconscious beliefs. Now, those beliefs create behaviors. Now, the problem is, if you're not recovered, you're like a zombie. And I'm not making fun of you. I was a zombie. I just didn't eat brains. Just kidding. So anyway, I was a zombie, meaning that I was simply living my life on autopilot, living off these belief systems that my childhood experiences taught me when I was little. And as an adult, I was behaving according to the dysfunctional belief systems. So I married somebody who didn't care about my feelings. Big surprise, right? Law of attraction. You attract what you are. And so my experience of love was, I need to prove that I'm worthy. I have to prove to you that I'm valid, I'm worthy of your love and worthy of your attention. And so I found a man who didn't give me love. I had a man who hung love like you would hang a carrot in front of a jackass. And that jackass was me. And so, was that his fault? No. We were literally a hand in a glove. My second marriage, my husband just said, his tenderness and his love and his appreciation and his validation was a given. And that felt wonderful. But wasn't until I learned to give that love to myself that I was able to manifest that type of mature love. But there were a lot of steps that I had to go through, a lot of mental processes and a lot of personal development, mind development that I had to go through to get to a point where I was like, no, that's programming and that's me. And I need to separate this. Like, that's my mother's voice and that's my voice. And it was painful, separating my mother's voice from my voice, separating her opinion of me from my true reality, which is I'm a divine being. I'm a divine being. Everybody's a divine being, I don't care what you look like, and I don't care what reality television says you should look like, and I don't care what the newspaper or these rags at the grocery store. I don't care what they say you should look like. It doesn't matter what the world says you should look like. It doesn't matter what the world says is worthy. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. And in my opinion, celebrities are tools. They make money for advertisers. That's what they do. So if we stop buying this stuff, then maybe we can equalize the world a little bit. But people are buying into this stuff, and they're watching news shows that perpetuate this idea that someone else has the right to tell us what worthy looks like, or what is worthy. I mean, so many girls today are killing themselves with bulimia and anorexia because they don't fit society's mold. And if you have parents who are a little messed up, they're watching what you eat and they're calling you names because they want you to look like the girls on TV because then that makes them feel better about themselves. So we have young girls that are in cheerleading and dance, and they're being pushed by their mothers because the mothers are living vicariously through them to excess, to obsession. And these kids want their mother's approval. And when they perform like horses, then they get mom's approval. When they don't perform well, mom pulls away the approval. And here we go. And mom doesn't have to be an alcoholic to do that. You know, mom just has to be under the veil of the illusion that this is what good moms look like. This is what it means. You are worthy if your daughter is X and X cheerleader. You are worthy if your daughter receives this dance trophy. You are worthy if your daughter's a size 2. You know, you are worthy if your daughter marries a doctor. You know, so it's when parents make their children's reality about them that we get into trouble. And the real reality is, dear one, that you've come here to walk your own soul's path. Nobody can tell you what's right for you. And you don't have to know what's right for you by the time you're 18. I'm still figuring out who the hell I am. I still have things that I'm discovering about myself that I want to do. And I don't put a limit on who I am or what I'm supposed to be experiencing. You know, I'm so glad that's all in the past now. And sure, there are haters, and unfortunately, when the haters are your family, that sucks. But, you know, when you get to a point where you go, okay, it's their reality to hate, and that's their soul's path. It's my soul's path to love myself, and to be a light in this world, and to be a way shower for people who are lost, and who want to seek higher ground. And so I became a life coach for adult children from dysfunctional homes because I understand what it feels like not to be seen. I understand it, and I understand that the way out is to learn to see self. I understand that. And I offer my experience up to anyone who feels lost, and with the hope that I am able to inspire you to hold on and to learn how to deal with the codependent detachment. Letting go of codependency, meaning learning how not to care what other people think about you, is tough because when you do that, life gets messy. But if you allow it to get messy, stop trying to fix it. You didn't break it. You know, you didn't break your mother and father. They're broken. You know what? You're their child. That's not your fault. They created you. They had sex. It was unprotected. That's why you're here. Although they'll try to make you feel guilty for being here. You know what I had to give up for you? You so ungrateful. You know what my life looked like? You know what it would look like if I didn't have you? You so selfish. You know how hard I try to cook for you and take care of you? You know what I would have been if I didn't have kids? This is the kind of crap we hear. This is going on right here, right now, today. All over this country, all over this world. Innocent children are being inundated with guilt. And it's disgusting, and quite frankly, it pisses me the hell off. And that's another reason I do what I do. Because perhaps somebody might hear this video and go, holy cow, I have a right to be angry. Yes, you do. Now that doesn't mean you have a right to go run somebody off the road, and that doesn't mean you have the right to go shoot your mother or beat your mother up or beat your dad up. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to learn to honor how you feel. Give that feeling some space. Go take a bath and say, I'm really angry. I'm just going to give myself time to be angry. Be angry. It's okay to be angry. But once you allow yourself to be angry, you know, you're suddenly not angry anymore. People get angry when other people tell them they don't have a right to be angry. Now I'm pissed. I'm pissed. Well, you don't have a right to be pissed. Well, now I'm even more pissed. Well, you're crazy for being pissed. Now I'm even more pissed than I'm pissed. That you're telling me I'm crazy because what's happening is I'm having a feeling and someone outside of myself is telling me that I don't have a right to have that feeling, which makes you more angry. And depending on where you are in your life, it can make you feel guilty. It can make you feel ashamed. It can make you feel stuck. It can make you feel like, oh boy, I just lost that person's approval. How can I act like I'm happy so they can like me again? All codependent stuff. So part of what I do in my recovery process, my teleclasses, my coaching classes, my teleclasses are amazing, by the way. I mean, testimonials, if you need testimonials, I'll get them. You know, I'm working on getting them. It's amazing how incredible people heal from each other. It's just such a beautiful experience in a teleclass, because we're all on the same page trying to help each other, and it feels like the family we never had. You know, we all come together, 9, 10 of us. We come together and we support one another, and we're looking out for one another. It really does gives you the sense of what family was supposed to be like. You know, and it's just beautiful. So if you can get into one of my teleclasses, I'm going to start hosting another one in May. I'm in the middle of one now, but I would definitely, reach out to me at lisaaaromano@gmail, and I'll put you on the list for the next class. So anyway, dear ones, I do what I do because in doing what I do, I show you how to fall in love with yourself. And you know what happens when you fall in love with yourself? When you fall in love with yourself, people fall in love with you. It's really awesome. When you don't love yourself, it's very difficult to attract someone who loves you. You can't do it. And so we have to try to understand that words like selfish, words like, you're a bitch, you don't deserve this, who do you think you are? All those ideas, we've got to learn to say that those are voices from the past. That's programming. I am divine. I'm divine. Beneath these blankets, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. All these bad ideas, that's what was done to me. They aren't me. If my mother had told me I was beautiful, I would have believed it. If my mother would have told me that I was worthy, I would have believed it. And I wouldn't have had so many issues growing up. It's not my fault that my mom was the adult child of an alcoholic and she was abused. That's not my fault. That's not my path to worry about her path. My path is my path. My path is to understand what happened to me in this divine time. This is my time. This is my reality. And it's up to me to figure out what those experiences mean for me. And it's up to me to understand what my challenges were and are as a soul. And it's up to me to champion my challenges and to make my life better and to keep moving forward. Now, people who don't want to heal and come with me, they become background noise. Me minimizing myself doesn't help them. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't help my children. It doesn't help me. I'm going to keep trying to be a light in this world. And I'm never going to stop growing. I think people are like light bulbs. And, we all have the ability to be a 100-watt bulb. But depending on your experience as a child, you might only be a 6-watt bulb. But as you become an adult, and I was like a 6-watt bulb. But, as I came through the veil at 33 and 34 and I started to wake up, it was like that wattage that just started to get turned up and turned up, turned up, turned up, turned up. And who knows, maybe upon death, when you become your total light body and you leave the physical body behind and your spirit merges with this pure stream of abundance, that might be what pure transcendence really is. But I'm going to try to be a 100-watt bulb or as close to it as I can while I'm alive. So that means I got to stop hanging out with people who have got low wattage. You know what I'm saying? I got to start hanging out with people who are seekers, who are already better than I am. I have to seek people out whose lights are bigger than mine so that I can keep growing. And that really is my path. And so I do what I do because I understand the pain that you're in. And it's unacceptable. It's just, you don't have to accept it. You can change it. So your journey, hopefully, if you've happened upon this channel, has a lot to do with healing the dysfunctional program that's within you. And I'm going to make a guess that within the next 50 years or so, healing and recovery and psychology is going to all be about healing the programming. And we're going to stop labeling people with this and that and but. We're going to stop doing that. We're going to say, okay, what was your programming? Well, that's a program. You hate yourself? Well, that's a program. And we're going to move away from all the labels that we assign people, because labels keep people stuck. So again, dear ones, I hope this has inspired you. I hope you know a little bit more about why I do what I do and how important your recovery is to me. If I'm a light in this world and I'm able to turn your wattage up, then the world becomes a better, brighter place. How cool is that? So on a quantum level, the world becomes a better place. So that's the beauty of healing, because when you heal, you help make the world a better place. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you what you're supposed to do. Don't let anybody define your life, not even your mama and your papa. Like, they had their turn. This is your turn. This is up to you. I say embrace it, dear one. Embrace it. My name is Lisa A. Romano. I am the author of The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce, Loving the Self-Affirmations, and Quantum Tools to help you heal your life now. I encourage you to check out my website at www.healingselfesteem.com. And that's what we're doing. We're healing the self. We're bringing self-esteem to us. We're esteeming the self. But you got to find the self. Here's the key, dear one. You got to find yourself before you can esteem yourself. Okay? And I'm going to help you do that. So please check out my stuff and consider coaching with me and or joining one of my teleclasses. Namaste, everybody.